Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding and Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we love to talk about crowdfunding. And today I want to get into how do you use crowdfunding to expand your business, right? So if you want to expand your business, what are some of the ways in which you can use crowdfunding in order to accomplish that, as well as what are the different types of crowdfunding you should be aware of? What's the process that goes into this? That way you can expand your business. And we're covering that in today's YouTube video. All right, man, so let's start to talk about this. So maybe you discovered me when it comes to my YouTube channel, my podcast, my blog out there, crowdcrush.com, wherever it is. I hope that you find today's video to be useful and helpful for you. So first of all, we're really talking about expansion. So by expansion, that can mean a lot of different things when it comes to your business. So if we're really trying to focus on expansion, that can mean things, for example, like inventory. If you have a physical product, okay, if you're trying to expand your inventory, that could also be your brand, right? Getting more people around the world to know, to understand who you are, what you do, what services or products that you have. That could be also expansion when it comes to hiring, right? Getting more people on your team. So that way you can actually do more and have a bigger impact in the world. It could also be other ways when it comes to expansion as well. This could be things, for example, when it comes to having money to do marketing, right? Doing more advertising. It could be things as well when it comes to sales, making different connections, right? So connections, which could be to retailers, or connections when it comes to distributors, right? There's a lot of different ways that we talk about in order to expand your business. So first of all, you want to think about, like, for you, is it really you're trying to get more inventory so you can actually sell this maybe and you have more customers around the world? Is it that you want to have capital when it comes to expansion in terms of marketing and hiring? Is it you want connections? Is it that you want to grow your brand? Is it something that's international, have an explosive campaign? Really for you, start to think about what are some of the reasons why you want to expand, and actually how do you want to go about doing that? Once you've thought about that a tiny bit, I think the next important thing is to understand the mechanisms of crowdfunding, really the mechanics behind this, and how you can use this to address some of the major objectives which you have, okay? So I'm gonna kind of divide this here in two. So this is, first of all, what some of your objectives are. So I'm gonna say objectives, right? These are basically what your goals are as a business. And you might also have more that I haven't even listed here, right? You might also have some other ones as well. Now we need to talk about more of like the actual crowdfunding process, okay? And what are the different forms, how this can help you. So the two big ones that I really want to draw your attention to, and there are some other forms of crowdfunding as well, but the two big ones I think are going to make most sense if you are interested in having more inventory, growing your brand, hiring, marketing, connections. The first one is going to be something called rewards-based crowdfunding. So we're saying rewards-based, and I'll go into what that means, okay? Rewards-based crowdfunding. The second kind is called equity crowdfunding, okay? Now these are two different things, rewards-based crowdfunding and equity crowdfunding. So the first one is really for those people out there that want to grow your brand, that want to get more and more inventory, that want to have customers around the world, and you want to make a big splash, right? You want people around the world knowing about your brand. You want to also get funding as well when it comes to being able to have massive quantities of inventory to be able to then ship these products out to other people. Or if you're doing more of a service-based business, you also want to have accomplished some of those things when it comes to having lots of orders come in the door. So rewards-based crowdfunding, the reason why it's called that is that when people back a rewards-based crowdfunding campaign, typically they're getting access to what are called perks or rewards. And these perks or rewards are basically different items. It could be the product itself. It could be a pre-order of some kind, but they're packages, reward packages, which people can back the campaign and get access to them. So when you hear rewards-based crowdfunding, typically you're thinking about platforms such as Kickstarter and platforms such as Indiegogo. So kind of going off as an offshoot here, right? We have rewards-based. We have one, which I mentioned, which is Kickstarter, and the other being Indiegogo. These are the two biggest websites that are out there when it comes to rewards-based crowdfunding. There are some other ones as well. There's subscription-based crowdfunding websites. There's donation-based crowdfunding websites. But in terms of rewards-based, we're really talking about Kickstarter and Indiegogo as the two big players in this industry. The second thing you want to think about when it comes to rewards-based crowdfunding is we kind of almost want to think of a pre-order campaign, okay? So this is really, for example, let's just say you're an established company. You're already a company, you got a bunch of products maybe, or you already have a brand, or you have another store or something like that, and you're like, how can I use crowdfunding in order to accelerate the growth of my company? The way that you would do that is you would think about a new product line, a new iteration of an existing product you have, and then you would come out with that product on Kickstarter or on Indiegogo. So maybe that has features or technology which you haven't incorporated in the past, or an improved design or an improved functionality of a product which you've created before. Or maybe it's an entirely new line of products, for example, that you're then coming out with on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And you're announcing them to the crowd. Which allows you to then promote the heck out of this, grow your brand, get tons of early adopter customers who support this, who back this, and they're not expecting to actually receive this product until it's been produced, manufactured, and shipped out to them, which might take 3 months. So that would be the first type, right? Which is rewards-based crowdfunding. Then you have another form, which is equity crowdfunding. I'm also going to get into some of the benefits and drawbacks, a little bit of each of these, and really how this ties back to expansion, which is the end of the game here, right? So we talked about rewards-based, and just to kind of make this easier, I'm going to draw a couple of lines here. So we have rewards-based. Typically, rewards-based solves the problem of inventory. Rewards-based also solves the problem of brand, okay? And also it helps a lot when it comes to connections. You've probably seen shows such as Shark Tank, where people who have successful Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns end up getting investment from the sharks, right? Because they validated demand, because they validated that there's a marketplace out there. They form connections. Maybe they form connections as well with retailers who discover them from the crowdfunding campaign, or with distributors, or even with other manufacturers who help them improve their processes, right? Rewards-based really has to do with getting inventory, lots of pre-orders, which allow you then to do a bulk inventory purchase, right? And actually fulfill those. The brand itself, when it comes to tons of people around the world now know who you are and what you're doing, and connections, right? Like we talked about, you're gonna form a heck of a lot of connections doing a rewards-based campaign. However, when it comes to things such as marketing, I'm not just gonna say a slash here, we'll say so marketing / ads, expenditure, hiring, that kind of stuff, it can be a little bit different because again, you have to fulfill these pre-ordered items. So it depends on what your costs are, what your profit margins are gonna be. If you have razor thin profit margins, you maybe raise $1 million, but you're gonna have to spend a lot of that money actually fulfilling those orders. So if you only have very small profit margins, you might not have enough profit left over in terms of hiring, in terms of helping when it comes to plowing money back into an ad campaign for the future. It's really gonna vary depending on the type of product or service which you have. Another player is called equity crowdfunding. So equity crowdfunding, we'll kind of first start this off with what are some of the platforms that you need to know. So we talked about Kickstarter, Indiegogo, right? If you're following along here. With equity crowdfunding, we're gonna be thinking about a few different platforms. The first one I'm gonna mention is called WeFunder, okay? You guys maybe can't see my writing because it's a little too small, so it's kind of slanted here. It's kind of difficult to write and talk at the same time. But we'll say WeFunder, okay? We also got Seed Invest, another platform we got as well is called Start Engine. There are a bunch of different platforms out there. I'll do one more. So we got WeFunder, Seed Invest, Start Engine. In the UK, we also have Crowdcube and Seeders. Another good one I'll put here is called Republic. Okay, or republic.co. There are a bunch of other ones as well. And you can look at some of my blogs on CrowdCrux or my YouTube channel, and you can see more when it comes to the different platforms that are available out there. So equity crowdfunding. What does equity crowdfunding do? How does this work? What are the kind of the mechanics that go into this when it comes to business expansion, right? So equity crowdfunding allows you to raise investment capital from the crowd. So hear me out. Let's just say you're running a campaign, okay? You decide you want to raise $1 million. You're doing a rewards-based campaign. Well, if you're doing that, typically you're then shipping out a bunch of products, right? And it's kind of like a pre-order campaign. With equity crowdfunding, you can raise $1 million, and that's all investment capital, which you can choose to spend how you would like. Now, you might have certain perks and rewards, kind of like if you invest $5,000, maybe you get invited to like a special founder's dinner or something like that. But they're nothing in the way of like, oh, you got to ship out more products, right? Or maybe you get a year's license for a particular software technology that the company produces, right? Equity crowdfunding is really about raising investment capital using the mechanism of crowdfunding. And from this, again, you're raising money from the crowd. So this might be 1,000 investors, which you get when you're doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. So the big thing here is that there are a lot of commonalities between rewards-based and equity, but the biggest difference is the fact that with rewards-based, you're basically kind of doing pre-orders, okay? With equity crowdfunding, you're raising investment capital from the crowd, and you can spend that money as you would like. So let's kind of draw some connections here when it comes to this. So equity crowdfunding also can help you when it comes to your brand, because this is really, you can promote the heck out of this thing, particularly if you do what I talk about in my coaching sessions, if you do what I talk about in my book, Equity Crowdfunding Explained, or with rewards-based Kickstarter Launch Formula. You can promote the heck out of this, you can grow your brand, which is one of the best parts, really, obviously, about having a public campaign. The other thing is that it can help you when it comes to hiring. It can also help you when it comes to marketing and ads. And lastly, it can help with connections because you get a bunch of new investors as well. I probably should have done that in a different color. Let me see if I got another different color here. So this maybe will make it a little bit easier to see. So I'm just gonna try to color over this a little bit so you guys can see some of the difference. So equity crowdfunding, it's also gonna help with connections. It is also gonna help when it comes to marketing and ads like we were talking about before. And it's also gonna help when it comes to brand. Okay, and obviously with hiring, like I mentioned. So the big difference here with equity crowdfunding, like I mentioned, is that you can spend the money as you like. So you can hire more people. You obviously can use, because of general solicitation, which is part of regulation crowdfunding, you can also grow your brand. You can also spend money on marketing and ads or on business coaches like myself who can help you expand and grow your company, as well as connections, right? When you do an equity crowdfunding campaign, you're gonna get a heck of a lot of people that are investing in your projects. You're gonna form a lot of industry connections as well. Now, when it comes to this, in my opinion, I think that rewards-based and equity crowdfunding are both incredibly powerful. If you want to think of this in kind of like an offbeat example, if you think about what are like the biggest, monsters or the most powerful kings when it comes to the animal kingdom, well, you could say that, for example, the lion is the king of the savannah, right? He's really like the top predator when it comes to the savannah, and he's an incredible cat, right, in that particular environment. If you think about a shark, is a shark gonna do well in the savannah? No, it's just gonna like flop around, right? Because it's not made for that environment. However, you put a shark in water and it's like the deadliest predator in the world, right? And it has razor sharp teeth. But if you put a lion, you take a lion out of the savannah, you plop it into water, it's gonna basically be acting like a house kitten, right? It's just gonna wanna get out of the water and it's kind of helpless. So they are both powerful. Equity crowdfunding, for example, like the shark, or rewards-based crowdfunding, the lion, they're both incredibly powerful ways to raise capital from the crowd and to expand your business. They just have different objectives. They're different arenas which you're playing in, but both of them are awesome. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description. So what is the process for really then tapping into the power of either of these and catapulting your brand, getting investors or getting pre-orders, growing your inventory, whatever your objective is when it comes to expanding your business? What is really the process from here? So I'm going to kind of just lay this out a tiny bit because I want to leave you with this big takeaway when it comes to this particular video. So the first part is really just deciding that you want to go down this particular route. And this is, to me, kind of like a decision-making process. So I would say that the first part is really about education, okay? The more you can get educated about the process, the easier the process is. So I try to make that easy, obviously, when it comes to making some of my scribbling, whiteboard videos like this. I try to make this easy with my book, Equity Crowdfunding Explained, or my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, when it comes to rewards-based crowdfunding. I also try to make this easy where you can book intensive one-on-one coaching calls with me. So you can go down below and see in the description if you want to book an intensive coaching call. There's an investment obviously behind that as well. So that way you can decide whether or not this is a good thing for you. You're more than welcome to do that. So the first part is education. Even listening to my podcast, I bring on people who have raised millions of dollars on websites like WeFunder, 6 figures on websites like Republic, on Start Engine, etc. So education is a big component of this. Once you actually make that decision, so you're like, yes, dude, I do want to do this. You got to decide, right? Once you actually decide and you say, yes, this is something that I want to go forward with, at that point in time, it's really about what's called a campaign launch. So I'm just going to say launch. This is about doing the things that you need to do to get a really good campaign that's going to get people who have never met before be excited about participating in this experience. So maybe that is pre-ordering a new product you come up with. Maybe that is investing in your company. They see the vision that you are portraying. They see the vision that you have when it comes to this target market, your unique problem that you're going after, and that incredibly unique solution which you've come up to that particular problem. Maybe also the management team, right? When it comes to equity crowdfunding and investing. So this is really then when you get more serious, when you make the decision, you then usually are going to go move into a launch sequence. So with that launch, that campaign launch, you then start to get more deliberate about what you need to run this campaign. What are some of the best practices that go into this? Are you going to be doing this yourself? If you're doing it yourself, having a coach or having education, a system that's designed to help you be successful with this is a great investment as well. Or if you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this myself, finding someone who can help you when it comes to the execution component of that particular campaign. And then once you go and you do this launch, that's when you're live with a campaign. You're able to connect with people around the world who can then become a participant in this particular crowdfunding campaign. So this would be the very basic process behind this. And there are a lot of different micro steps, right, between deciding with education and launch, and also in that actual launch phase, there's a lot of stuff that goes beyond the scope of this particular video. What are some of the takeaways here? So the first takeaway that you should have is that crowdfunding is a good way to expand your business if you are very clear about what you want in terms of your objectives, right? The second thing you should take away is that unlike other forms of raising capital, for example, venture capitalists or angel investors, or doing a pre-order on your own website, right? Or doing something like that, or just coming out with a product on Amazon or on Shopify using an online store, something like that. There's a difference here in that crowdfunding is extremely specific in that you're going after early adopter customers. You're giving people an alternative investment than just putting their money in the stock market with equity crowdfunding, right? With rewards-based, like they said, early adopters. So you're going after a very particular niche or group of people that want to be along for the ride, that enjoy the fact that you're kind of in this early stage with this project. And in addition, that like being a part of your community. In addition, the other thing I would say when it comes to crowdfunding, if you're really trying to expand your business, right? This is something you need to know. And that's that whatever form of crowdfunding you do, it is public. Now, some people are like, oh my gosh, public, that's kind of scary, right? Me, I like to lean into that. I found that the more public that I can get when it comes to my videos, when it comes to my work, my blog, right? When it comes to my books, when it comes to my coaching, the more public I can be, my podcast, having guests on, right, regularly every single week, the more public I am, I start to create a much bigger brand. And the same thing is true of all the students that I've worked with over time. If you're willing to lean into that and to be public with your campaign, have people around the world discover you, right? But also being able to see the funding meter as it's going up and up, then being able to see, look, oh my gosh, we only got like 5 days left of this campaign. The more public you are, the more you can attract a crowd of people that you haven't met before and that are almost like strangers, if you want to put it that way, when it comes to you, your brand, your business, what you're trying to do. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and you found it to be useful, educational, informative, a little bit interesting as well. That's really what I'm going for here when it comes to my videos. If you did like it, give me a thumbs up and let me know. Leave a comment down below showing some love. Also, if you want to book an intensive one-on-one coaching session with me to talk about either of these forms of crowdfunding, go and do that at the link down below. But I do hope, if nothing else, that you're getting a little bit more excited about getting something out there, about building your own crowd, about maybe someday launching a campaign that's going to connect with people around the world. And if you do, if you feel excited, I did my job. Thank you so much. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I will see you next time.